Shalom Aleichem to the wonderful alumni of Yeshiva Darchei Noam, Mashgiach Rachel. It's my pleasure to introduce our newest very special offering to you. We've asked Tanhala members to give a series, a 4-part series, 10 minutes each, of some topic that will be relevant and meaningful to our alumni. These will be sent out weekly, and we hope that you'll find them interesting, inspiring, edifying. No further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce the first series, the Mashgiach of the Yeshiva, Rabbi Fyvel Shuster, who is giving 4 parts on connecting with Hashem in our day-to-day life. Enjoy.
Okay, I'd like to thank Rabbi Schoonmaker, and again to extend my welcome to all my friends out there, and to those of you who I haven't met but who share with us the common connection to the yeshiva, to the midrashah. The idea of connecting with Hashem is something that everyone has to find in whichever format they're in. Myself, working in a yeshiva, has the same challenge in many ways as someone who's out working on Wall Street or in a high-tech firm or in whatever field you may be in. I think a phrase that helps enter this topic is one that we find referred to in the parshas that we're learning now, Bereshis, Noach, Lech Lecha. In Bereshis we found the description of Chanoch, Vayishalech Chanoch Esra Elokim. Chanoch walked with Hashem. Noach, Esra Elokim Yishalech Noach. Avram Avinu was told, Yishalech Lefonai Vayei Tomim, walk before me. David HaMelech talks about Eshalech Lifnei Hashem, walking before Hashem. So Rabbi Victor Miller Zatzal, in a shir he gave on this topic, asked, how does one person walk with Hashem and another person not walk with Hashem? If Hashem is everywhere, and Uncle Moshe taught us that, Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is really everywhere, so then we're all walking with Hashem. He points us to an interesting Gemara in the end of Maseches Makos. The end of Maseches Makos talks about how different Nevi'im tried to help their generation focus on certain aspects of Torah that would enable them to fulfill all of Torah. The Gemara tells us, Bo Micha ve'midon al shalosh. The Navi Micha established his generation on 3 pillars of Avodas Hashem. And these were Asos Mishpat, to follow the Dinim. Avas Chesed, this Chazal explains, Zugmilos Chasodim. V'atznei aleches im Elokecha, and to walk with Hashem in a hidden way. So, we can understand the first 2, dinim, the idea of looking through the lens of halacha at everything you have to do. Gemilus chasodim, which is more than just tzedakah. The Maharal explains that tzedakah is reactive, when you're reacting to the need of the person. And gemilus chasodim is when you are looking, where can I give? How can I use the resources, the talents I have to give to others? And then, Hatznei aleches im Elokecha. He said that mistakenly people assume that that is simply modifying the first 2. That, yeah, keep halacha, do chesed, but you don't have to announce it to the whole world. You don't need a selfie every time you give tzedakah to a poor person. You don't have to draw him into the picture to make sure everybody sees him. But that wouldn't fit with the pshat in the Gemara, because it says, Ha'emidon al shalosh, that there are 3 pillars. And therefore, that 3rd pillar is the idea of leches im Elokecha, to walk with Hashem. How does one walk with Hashem? Where does one walk with Hashem? That's the word Hatznei. Hatznei is the hidden world. It's the world inside of us. A person who walks with Hashem is a person who is doing what he's doing because he's aware that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching him, is sustaining him, is putting him in the situations that he's in, and wants him to perform, him or her to perform in a certain way in that situation. A person who goes with that awareness, again as expressed in the pasuk Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tomid, is really walking with Hashem. How do you do it? How do you achieve it? First of all, he points out the Gemara's very puzzling answer or example of Hatznei aleches im Elokecha. The Gemara says, Zu halvayas hameis v'achnasas kala. This is helping in a funeral, accompanying the dead, and achnasas kala, which is not just donating to the financial needs of a wedding, but everything involved in making a wedding. And the problem with that is both of those are very public actions. How are those an expression of Hatznei aleches? So Rabbi Miller explained that the ultimate Natznei Aleches is when you're able to do something in the public eye, but the reason you're doing is because you're in the public eye. The reason you're doing it is because that's what Hashem wants. And you understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there with you, and that's your motivation in everything you're doing, whether public or private. Now, how does a person inculcate this? Miller gives two exercises that he feels can help. One is occasionally doing something that nobody else in the world will know about but you and Hashem. Doing a chesed, doing something for a person or for an institution or something out there where nobody else is going to know, ever, but you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's true that sometimes it is important for a person to do things publicly in order to get other people to join in and help the cause. But in certain small occasions, make sure you do something in a way that's totally hidden. That helps grow the sense inside of you that things matter and things are real, even if no one knows that but you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He also encourages us to take things that we sometimes say externally and to make them real. For example, you're saying goodbye to a friend, you say, have a nice day. What does that mean when you say, have a nice day? Think about what you would want for that person when you want them to have a nice day, and turn that into a tefillah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hashem, when I said to that person, have a nice day, it means I want him to be happy and healthy, successful in his endeavors, getting along with the people he'll be with. Picture to yourself that nice day for that person, and express that in a tefillah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that really leads us into the world of constant, what you could call freestyle tefillah. We make the mistake sometimes that because we have the set tefillah and the set nusach of the Shmoneh Esrei, that we no longer have the world of free tefillah. That's not true. A person is meant to be able to speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all things big and small throughout the day. And a person who does that is walking with Hashem. I just saw a beautiful story that was brought by Rabbi Mordechai Proman, Mashgiach Ruchani of Shapell. He said he was in the Mir Yeshiva once. It was during the time of the Shabbos Suda, and he wasn't eating with the yeshiva that Shabbos, so he was in the Beis Medrash, and the only other person in the Beis Medrash was Reb Chaim Shmulevitz Zatzal. And Reb Chaim Shmulevitz was working on something and learning, and he was pacing in deep concentration. Then he went over to the Aron Kodesh, and he yelled out in Yiddish, he said, Tata, help! Father, help me! Then he went back to pacing, and he got a look of clarity on his face. He went over to the Aron HaKodesh, he said, Tata, adank. Thank you, Father. His process and learning was there with this dialogue with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, looking for help, thanking for help. And this is supposed to be constantly throughout our day. A person who does that and has that awareness is someone who's walking with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Eventually, a person will be able to do that, and that will give a person the strength to be who they're supposed to be, no matter what the situation. Sometimes we lack a motivation to do what we're supposed to do because we have no crowd around to cheer us on or to pat us on the back afterwards. A person who's learned Hatznei Aleches will be able to do it. Sometimes we're in a very difficult test where because of the people looking at us and how we're looking at us, we're under pressure to do something that isn't really what we want to do and who we are. The person of Hatznei Aleches is walking there with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that gives the person strength. So I think that's our first lesson to try to think about and to try to develop, to see how we can do this and to realize that Avodas Hashem is something that's 24/7. It's not relegated to when we're in shul. It's not relegated to a particular time. A Jew is supposed to have this and sense it throughout. In our upcoming talks, we're going to try to see more ways to apply this to our lives and more tools that can help make this real.